Welcome to the 2017 Fillmore High School Sports Hall of Fame inductions. Tonight, we're inducting Class of 2007 Hall of Fame player Bobby Hakon, Class of 2007 Hall of Fame player Matthew Kobos, Class of 2007 Hall of Fame player Curtis Cole, Class of 1990 Hall of Fame player Mike Kosar, Class of 2003 Hall of Fame track and field athlete Bryan Ball, the 2006 Fillmore Flashes football team, who will be presenting the Charles Mosley Award to Angel Ortega. Angel's son Mark Ortega will be speaking on Angel's behalf. This is the 2017 Fillmore High School Sports Hall of Fame inductions.
I'm Mark Ortega, FHS alumni member from the class of 1979, and I was coming back on campus. I remember being in band all 4 years and just loving being on this campus. Very honored that my father won the 2017 Charles Mosley Award. My father knew Charles Mosley very well. They worked together at the school district. My dad was born October 2nd, 1924. He just will be celebrating his birthday on October 2nd, probably a week right before this event, and he's 93 years old. He was a World War II veteran, 289th Squadron, 75th Infantry. He fought in the Battle of the Bulge in Belgium. After the war, he came back and worked for Harry Leckler in Peru as a butcher. And from there, he was hired by Fillmore Unified School District and worked at Peru Elementary School as a school groundsman, a bus driver. He thrived working at Fillmore Unified School District. All his nieces and nephews were there, and he got to see his kids there. And then from there, I think probably around 1970s, he moved to work. He still worked with the district, however, he worked in Fillmore at the school district there as a groundsman all around the place. Then he became a bus driver, and many years he drove the bus all around the Fillmore Unified School District, from Newhall Ranch all the way over to Rancho Sespe. And in fact, after he retired, I would take him to the grocery store with me, and he'd run into numerous of his students that he drove on the bus, and they would introduce themselves and their spouses and their children, and they would always say, "This was my bus driver when I was in school." So I know he was a very popular bus driver for many students at Fillmore High School, at Fillmore Unified School District, really. While he was a bus driver, he drove the athletic teams to many places. In those days, I remember playing on the tennis team, and there was maybe 12 of us, and he would be the bus driver with his big bus all the way up to Santa Barbara for a tennis match. And now I think it's with the gas prices, they don't really do that anymore. But he drove all the baseball teams to their away games, the football teams. There's many stories he would tell us about going to Santa Paula and really bearing down going in and coming out due to the fact that there are rivals, and you had to be very careful driving the students in and driving the students out. It just goes back to him protecting the kids and the students, and I'm sure in those days the parents were trusting all the bus drivers with their own children on away trips, far trips. I mean, they would go into San Diego or drive up to Bakersfield across the state and then come back into Fillmore. So that was his connection with this district, as far as probably being one of the most popular bus drivers back in his day. My brother Robert, class of 64, is in the Hall of Fame, and our whole family are just so honored, because I know my father knew Charles Mosley personally and probably drove Mr. Mosley and his classes to different areas all the 30 plus years that he worked here in the school district. So on behalf of my whole family, we're just so honored to accept this award, the Charles Mosley Award, for my father, Angel Ortega.
I'm Mike Kosar. I went to Fillmore High School from 1986 to 1990. Lived there from the time I was born till I was 22 years old. and I got married and moved to Oklahoma and around different places from there. Started playing sports when I was probably 5, playing t-ball, little league, high school baseball, high school football, and just kind of grew up playing sports in Fillmore. I remember playing little league. The coaches, when I played, we call it senior league, which is probably junior high age, 13, 14-year-old baseball. That is probably when I remember the most. The same kids I played with in senior league baseball are the same kids I played with in high school, and we all just kind of gelled together. And so that was probably the most memorable time from junior high all the way through my high school career, as far as baseball goes, and football as well. I know probably one of my best friends growing up in junior high and high school, Chad Van Winkle. We played baseball together. We played from probably junior high all the way till we graduated. We played every sport, baseball and football together. And there's David May, Reggie Reese. There's numerous people. I remember all those guys from when I was in high school, because Fillmore was such a small town that nobody really moved away. We all just kind of had our own little group there, and we gelled, and I think that's why we were so successful in sports at that time, because we all just knew everybody and knew we all got along. Probably the thing that I take away most from high school sports is my coaches, which, there's Tom Eklund and Dave Wild. Coach Woods was there, when I was playing in high school. And what I took away from all that was, if you work hard and you're dedicated to your sport, that will carry over into your life. And it rings true for me now. I go to work and I work hard every day to be the best at my job, and it shows, because I'm a successful person, and my superiors, they see all that, and it's because of the hard work and dedication that was instilled in me through my coaches, through high school sports. I remember it was Fillmore Santa Paula, and I don't remember if it was my junior year or my senior year, but I had found a rubber chicken somewhere, and we spray painted it red, and we carried it the whole week of the Santa Paula Fillmore game. And the whole game, it was hilarious just to have this rubber chicken with a noose around its neck for the Santa Paula Fillmore game. When I wound up going back to Fillmore and coaching for a couple of years, I wound up finding that same rubber chicken, and the team that's actually being inducted to with the Curtis and Sean and all those other kids, they actually had that chicken at the Santa Paula Fillmore game. Just being considered to be inducted into the Fillmore High School Sports Hall of Fame is a real honor. I want to thank Fillmore, the town of Fillmore, the Fillmore High School Sports Hall of Fame, for inducting me into the Hall of Fame. It's a great honor, and I feel very blessed and privileged. Thank you.
My name is Bryan Ball. I graduated from Fillmore in 2003. I ran for Fillmore High School from I think it was 1999 through 2003. I didn't really get serious about running, I would say, until my junior year of high school. My junior year, when I ran the 400 on the track. And then my senior year was probably my breakout year. Coach Torres, he first came to me, approached me when I was playing football at the time, and said, I really want you to come out for cross country. And said, I don't know, I'm a football player. I want to be like my brothers. And but I learned kind of quickly that a guy that weighs only 130 pounds, he doesn't really stand much of a chance, going out there and playing on the football field. So I learned pretty quickly with that. And he finally convinced me my senior year to come out and to run cross country. And it was a pivotal moment, I would say, in my running career, because that senior year, it started the fire, I would say, with distance running. Because before that, I was strictly a sprinter. I only did the 200 and 400 before that. There's something about it when you're on a team, and the guys on my team, we were all on the same page. Everybody cared. Everybody wanted to do well. It was just a really good environment to be in, and for us to go all the way to state that year, and we probably should have won state, but we had a couple guys get sick on us, and but otherwise, we probably would have won the whole thing. When Epi Torres finally convinced me to go out and run cross country, that changed pretty much everything for me. And once I got to my senior year and was running the 400, that was how I was able to break a really old record. It was set in 1960, and so it was about a 43-year-old record at the time. And I ended up breaking it my senior year, leading into the CIF finals. In an event, and you give me enough time to adapt, I'm going to eventually get good at it. And that was what happened throughout my collegiate career at Biola University. I went from running the 800, the mile, the 3,000 steeplechase, the 5K, the 1,000 in the indoor. So is anything that you put me in, I would transition pretty well into it, and it ended up working out pretty well for me. I ended up being a 6-time NAI All-American when I was running for Biola. So I really have to thank my coaches and stuff. I had 2 older brothers, so they naturally made me run pretty fast whenever they would pick on me as a kid. So I'd have to go and run through the orchard, or try and get away from them if I ever got in a little sucker punch or something. When I was at Biola during my junior and senior year, I got a new coach at the time. His name was Jonathan Zimmerman. And he was probably the first one that really got me to start thinking outside of the box. And he was actually the one that introduced me to the steeplechase. It's a pretty challenging, grueling race, and he introduced that to me. And naturally, again, it was just one of those events that I transitioned really well into it, and at one point ended up finishing second at nationals. So I have to thank Coach Zimmerman for that, for just really getting me to think outside of the box. Just finishing, I just finished school. I felt that my running career wasn't over yet. One of the biggest races of my life was, at the time, I was trying to qualify for the U.S. marathon trials. And at the time, we decided on a race that I was going to do. It was going to be the San Jose Rock and Roll Half Marathon. I had to hit a certain qualifying time and run a sub 1 hour and 5 minute half marathon when I got to qualify, and at the same time proposed to my girlfriend. And basically I was on cloud 9 that day. I'm extremely honored and humbled being inducted into the Fillmore High School Hall of Fame, and extremely blessed to have this honor. I couldn't do it without my mom and my dad, my grandparents, all of my coaches, Coach Neal, Coach Zimmerman, Coach Larson, my training partners, Dan Brown and Meb Keflezgi. To my wife, I love you. You're everything to me. You've driven me farther than I ever could on my own. And to my brothers, thank you for always pushing me as well, and always encouraging me, and for chasing me all those years in the orchard. That's how I got really fast, running away from those two. Thanks, Fillmore High.
My name is Matthew Kosar. I started coming to Fillmore High School late 2003, and I started playing football for Fillmore on varsity in 2004, and I graduated in 2007. I was a 3-year varsity starter. Beginning in 2004, I was a defensive end, predominantly defense, and then I also played wide receiver. In 2005, I moved up to outside linebacker, and I did a little bit of fullback. And then in 2006, I played middle linebacker and also fullback. Jonathan Avila, he was from 2005 to 2006. He was a great quarterback. He really could rally the team together. We also had great, when I played middle linebacker in 2006, I had great outside linebackers like Jeremy Taylor, Sean Conway, Steve Padilla. We had a very stacked defense. We also had great defensive linemen like Larry Tovar, Joseph Ponce, and Trevor Camarillo. All in all, our defense was what probably set the tone for a lot of the team. We had a saying that if nobody could score a point, then nobody could win. And we really took a lot of pride in defending our end zone. The name of our defense, we coined the name the dark side. That's what we were. We were, we harnessed all animosity and rage against the other team, and we became the dark side. Predominantly when I came on, and we had an excellent strength and conditioning regiment. It was TAC, and it was conducted by Coach Dan, Coach Woods. We had Coach DeFoya, and I can remember the first year that I came on, we were just thrown through the ringer. It was pulling sleds, it was lifting weights, it was constantly sprinting. We were really pushed to our limits of physical capability in order to ensure that we were, at the top of our game. And when it came to the first day, we were really, at our peak of performance, and we were ready. We were ready for battle. That's exactly what we were. I would say that every game was a rivalry game. I mean, we had it in our minds that if we were going to step on that field, we were gonna win, and we ended up winning all league. And we made it to the playoffs with all intentions of taking it all the way. The team, and which most resonates with me, is that we were in 100%. Nobody was half in, half out. It was we sweat, we bled, and we cried together. Mostly what I took from playing football from Fillmore was a lot of pride and camaraderie. Like day in and day out, we were always together. Whether it was in the classroom or on the field or in the weight room, we were always together. And I always had pride in where I came from and the team that I was with. And I always had a lot of support. I had a lot of support from my friends who were on the team, and I had a lot of support from my family, my mother, and my sisters, my grandparents. And I can honestly say that the dedication that I learned from being on the football field is the dedication that I've carried all throughout my life. You always want to strive for the best, whether or not you're the underdog. Well, I'm mostly thankful for my mother. She was always there at every game. I could always hear her cheering from the stands. She, as much as she was concerned that I was going to get hurt, or if I was hurt and I was playing hurt, that she didn't want me to get hurt as much, she was always there. I can remember my mom getting bags of ice for me to soak in an ice bath, so I was ready to go. and work out and practice and be ready for the next game. And my sisters were always there behind me. They were always rooting me on. They thought I was the greatest, player in the world. And right now, I'm really thankful for my wife and my 2 children now, that I've been able to take what I learned from on the football field and instill in them that, as long as you give it everything that you got, you'll be able to, make an impression. I do want to thank Coach Woods, Coach Dan, Coach Tafoya, and Coach Bricker for everything that they did to keep the team together, and for all their knowledge and their strategy and their insight. They really brought the best of everybody out, especially on that field. They would not let us walk off that field unless we left it all on the field, and especially Coach Bricker, because he was the leader of the dark side. I really just want to thank Fillmore in general, because Fillmore, if it wasn't for Fillmore, we would have nothing to play for. I want to really thank and appreciate the Fillmore High School Sports Hall of Fame for inducting me into its community. It's one of the biggest honors that I could ever have in my life, and it's really gonna put an impression not only on me for the rest of my life, but also on my family, that they can look back and see my husband did that, or my son did that, or my dad did that. This is something that's really important.
My name is Curtis Cole. I went to Fillmore High School from 2003 to 2007. My first year of high school was a little bit rough. Coach Tafoya, Coach Lomelli, they made it was survival every day for a while. But right now, it's like the same characteristics that they pushed us with in practice is kind of what I do the same with our high school practice right now, of just trying to figure out, every day is going to be tough and you better figure out a way to survive it, or, you get left by the wayside kind of. As we all got older and kind of more of us bought into the weightlifting program, and the off-season football obviously started to get easier for us. We started having more success as sophomores. We had a really good season, and we kind of saw what we could eventually become as we got older. And some of the guys, like I said, really bought in, and we just had a good core group of guys that have just lived in Fillmore together and played with each other since we were just little. And it was really more of like a family the whole time of playing with one another. I was a member of the dark side defense. It was a really good defensive unit. It wasn't just one guy. It was a group of 11 working in tandem for one goal, and that was to shut down every offense we faced. Turtle, Froggy, Gil, Trevor, MJ, Nacho. Those were the guys that we spent the most amount of time together, because we were always in a group together. It didn't matter if it was offensive practice, defensive practice. We were always kind of in the big guy group. There was really no one safe that wasn't going to get made fun of at some point. And it was just a lot of clowning around on each other. Robbie Aguilar was our defensive line coach, and I've grown up with Robbie a lot. I know his family real well. We spent a lot of time together, and Robbie was a good dude to look up to, because he had a lot of success in high school, had some success in college playing defensive line, and he was just a guy that really inspired you to really get after it, and he wasn't afraid to challenge you. There were plenty of times growing up, just even when I was younger, of him always challenging me to be better than what I was, or showing me I could be better, and just always pushing me to give my best. Coach Woods was one that, he's another guy we spent a lot of time with. He knew how to cut it loose a little bit and have some fun with us, but he was always the one he would always strive for perfection, and we could do better. And he really pushed us as far as wanting to be our best also. Coach Bricker was our defensive coordinator, and me and him, I probably know him the longest, because I grew up 3 doors down from him. he didn't say too much, but what he said, when he did say something, you took it as it being like super important. And I mean, he was telling you for a reason. He never just kind of blew smoke. Coach Dan, he was our head coach, obviously, and he was kind of the ringleader of the bunch. He was the kind of, he kept everyone kind of in check, and he ran the show. At the time, he was a really, really good guy that you could really just kind of get behind and want to fight for. Man, one of the best games that kind of sticks with me through the years is our senior year playing Santa Clara. I mean, that was a full-on group effort in that game. At some point in the game, it took everybody did something. Whether it was, Stephen Padilla trying to shut down Sierra Wood on every fly sweep they ran, or if it was us, the inside guys trying to take care of the inside run game with Matt and Sean behind us. I mean, it was a full group effort all the way to Emilio making the game-saving tackle at the 2. Well, I'm really happy that I was considered individually to be put in the Hall of Fame, but the thing that really means more to me is our team got put in the Hall of Fame. That whole season, everything is all about the team. And it was a group effort from the league championship to, making it to the playoffs to everything. So that means more to me than anything else. And I just want to say thank you to Fillmore High School and the whole Fillmore community for considering me into the Fillmore High School Hall of Fame.
My name is Bobby Hakon. I'm born and raised right here in the small little town. Went to Fillmore High School from 2003 to 2007. My first year football, I didn't really play as much. Just rode the pine a lot, and until my sophomore year, that's when I came on. Usually after my freshman year, though, I ran track to get faster. Helped me out a lot, get me ready for football next year. My sophomore year, we were pretty good. I think we went 8-2, only lost 2 games. Should have won league champs, but we ended up losing in that. Did real good that year. I think we had a solid team. Junior year, I could say we were pretty good too. Didn't really play as much in the beginning of the season till the end of the year. Started playing in special teams, and I think about 4 games in a row, I think I ran it back for a touchdown. And I think the coaches really started believing in me and showing that I can be a player, not just because I was skinny and smaller than everybody else out there, but I could still play. I was still playing my game. And I think a senior year is when we knew our team from we were little that we're going to be good. Like, we always talked about it since we're little kids, all of us, since we're Raiders, that once our senior year, it's going to be on. It's going to be on. And, fortunately, we didn't win the championship, but we did a lot of successful things that year. I think we're the first team in 25 years to win in Carpinteria, which I was very proud of. I think a lot of us, we went 4-0 against Santa Paula. Well, I could say I did. Never lost to them in my life. Something I'm very proud of too. League champs, the first time in, say, 25 years too. And we made it to CIF, and it was pretty good. It was a good year. It was a good ride that year. My coaches from the beginning was my coach, Jose Luis Lomeli, which is unfortunately now, well, not unfortunately, but he's my brother-in-law now, which is good. And Tofoya, they raised us right, especially when we're little, they push us a lot. They push us to make us, be better football players and stuff. Yeah, like my coaches too, they teach me how to be a better player and a better person, to become a young man, not only just on the field, but off the field also too. Curtis, Trevor, Kenny, Turtle, Joseph, Gilbert. I know I'm forgetting a lot of you guys, but just all you guys, just every single one of them on my team though, they push me. Every day we push each other in practice to be better. So I just, I thank them and I love them all to, the bottom of my heart. Track, I ran track from my freshman to senior year. I think my freshman year, good. My sophomore year, I think I still hold the JV record for the 400 in there. And just from freshman, sophomore, junior year, the only reason I ran is for football, just to get faster in football, and it really helped me out a lot to get in shape and just to accelerate the burst. And just even my coaches there, they pushed me a lot because they knew I could be a better athlete in both sports, and it really helped me out a lot. Just it really means a lot, especially for this town, and not just for me, but for my teammates, because it's just not just me, it's my teammates, you know what I mean? Because without them, I wouldn't be here today. Coaches, it's not just me in here, it's all of them. I'm bringing all of them in here with me. Well, the real people that really influenced me will be my parents, my mom and my dad. I mean, growing up, they did everything for us. They work hard, you know what I mean? Sometimes, you know what I mean? My dad would just never come from one job, he'll go to another job all day just to provide food for my family. And it just really taught me when I was young that I had to work hard at whatever I want to do and put my mind to be a better man and to work hard in whatever I want to be when I get older. Till this day, they're like my best friends, and that's it, you know what I mean? I love them. Well, I am now, like my kids, I mean, I got 3, I got 2 boys and a girl. Got my oldest one will be 8, or be 9 this year. My younger one will be 5, and my little girl just turned 1, and they just mean a lot to me, and especially my girlfriend, Brittany. She means a lot. She does a lot for me and my family, and I'm just thankful for them. Oh, now coaching these little kids, I mean, it means a lot. I take a lot of pride in teaching them, bringing them the right way. Like I said, how I was taught to be a man on and off the field, and that's what I'm trying to teach them. It just brings me out to see how these kids succeed from when they're little, from when I first started coaching them till now, how much they've grown and they learn. It just puts a smile on my face. I just enjoy just taking pride in that and showing them everything, how to grow up and be a man and on and off the field. Yeah, thank you to the Fillmore High School, the Hall of Fame, the president, and whoever inducted me. It's a real honor to be in it with all these great athletes around here, and just it means a lot to me. It really does. And just thank you.
Coach Dan, Fillmore High School, 2006 football team, championship team. And, we started out that year with, we implemented what we call TAC. And these guys really embraced it. It was very, very intense training, and they got to the point where they would be angry at us if we were not going to do it, which is kind of indication of their character, and how hard they were to work. And it was a magical season for us in many ways. But they were great kids. They worked hard, but rowdy, right? I remember they would get fired up about face paint, and I didn't like face paint, but we had to let them do it because it mattered to them. And I remember we brought out some black socks on the bus before the game, and man, they just went through the roof, As a head coach, you're only as good as your assistants, right? So I was lucky. I had a lot of really good, dedicated coaches. Bricker running the defense, outstanding, right? He would just spend so much time on film, putting it together, and a lot of his defensive stuff helped us on offense because he knew how to stop certain offenses, and that helped us when we run into a defense like ours, right? And he was really the brains of that defense. And that front seven is probably as good as any that's come through Fillmore. Maybe the 77, 78 class, but they're right up there with them. And Tony Tafoya helping with the offense, Greg Nunez offense, Robbie running the D line. It was a big help. Josh came in and did a great job. He and his father lived together, so he was able to work together and put that package together on defense each week. Art was just invaluable, right? DBs, receivers. He was the brains. I always would turn to him when I needed some help with offensive play calling, things like that. Tony as well, up in the booth calling plays. So it was it was a team effort. And as a coach, you really do appreciate guys that are dedicated and you can turn to and lean on, and we got along. We were all good. Joe and I were the only ones that really got into arguments, but he and I have been friends since high school, we grew up together, right? I've known him all my life, and we would butt heads, but it was always in a good way. It was always about trying to make the team better. Football wasn't about just winning and losing, it was about developing character. So Matt Kobos really set the tone for the team going back his sophomore year. You know, he had a work ethic. He was always in the gym. He worked out after our workouts down at the local gym, and he brought a lot of guys in with him, right? And he really kind of taught everybody to work hard. And then we have Bobby, of course, was just outstanding. You know, he was such a joy to coach and to watch. You know, his stride was every 2 steps he was 5 yards, right? And he's a skinny little gangly guy. And I'll never forget in the Santa Clara game, just you see this thin little guy just smashes into this pile, and everybody thought he was down, and then his legs are digging, and he spins out, and he goes for a touchdown. Curtis anchored the line, both sides, offense and defense. Most teams just ran away from him. They just didn't even bother, you know. And we also could count on him when we needed certain yards. We know we can go right over him. The other linemen were great too. Trevor and the whole line were real scrappy and hardworking. And we were blessed. We had deep in the backfield. We had guys that were backups that would have started most years. So, you know, that linebacker, I said that front seven is as good as any. And you know, you have Sean Conway, you have Steve Padilla, and you have Matt. And they just lit people up. And they were so quick and so fast. And I remember teams and coaches thinking about how small these guys were. But the thing is, they could bring it, right? Even though they weren't as heavy as a lot of linebackers, they were deceptive. You know, they could really sting people. And that was just fun. That was fun to watch those guys go, you know. So Bobby, you know, he was just shy of 2,000 yards. And really that was my fault because, you know, I had this philosophy, again, I learned it from my father, which was you don't run up the score, right? And if you're getting your butt kicked or you're kicking people's butt, you get everybody in the game. And so in Malibu, you know, he got one play for one series. I was going to play him for the third quarter, and he takes off for a 90-yard touchdown run. And as he's running, about the 50 yards into it, I said, okay, Joe, let's empty the bench. We got to get him out. And so he comes up, I think, 12 yards short of 2,000, and he could have had many more yards. And that happened a couple times actually. But you know, in you know, the single game rushing record, 273 yards. People don't know this, but he matched that in the CIF championship game, and he had 2 70-yard runs called back. He was sick in that Bishop Diego game. He had the flu. He didn't practice. I don't know if many know that, but he didn't practice all week. He came out Friday and played, and he had a great game. He had well over, I think he had 175 yards. So, you know, he was special. Kobos was special. Tomasesi, Curtis, of course, Padilla, all these guys. You know, it was a lot of fun. A ruckus bunch. It was a ruckus bunch, and the truth is, it was an honor to coach those guys. I think about that in a special way all the time. And so it's my honor to induct the 2006 football team into the Fillmore High School Sports Hall of Fame.